Do you think he is the best player, Hamster, outside the top six?
Yeah, I think there's a case for him being the second best player in the league, full stop, this season behind Harry Kane. Never mind
that's a big
outside
claim.
of the top six. And I think, this season has definitely challenged our preconceptions of what the traditional or who the traditional top six are, right? But we'll stick with that criteria because that is a different argument altogether. Obviously, Villa sit in sixth, having already beaten the likes of Arsenal, Liverpool, Leicester, drawn with United as well. And they've only lost by a margin of more than one goal to Leeds. So they've only really been on the end of one hiding this season, haven't they? Scoring 18, which is the same as league leaders Leicester, and they've only conceded 9, which is the same as Leicester and Tottenham. Expected goals against actually touting them as good value for money, saying they should have conceded around 8.5, which would put them as third best in the division. So not even, sacrificing defensive stability to play this free-flowing, attacking football with Grealish, with Ross Barkley, who deserves a shout-out as well up front. But Jack Grealish's numbers, they were good last season, and we rated him last season. You're right, we did speak about him a lot, but he has gone supernova at the start of this campaign, hasn't he? 9 goals and assists. That's 5 goals and 4 assists, which is a team high. Ollie Watkins not far behind on 7, and what a start he's made as well. And you can attribute some of the success that Grealish is enjoying to those around him, because it looks a lot more coherent up top, doesn't it, for Villa this season with Barkley,
especially
with
Barkley,
Watkins.
Man. Yeah.
But I'll leave that to you guys to discuss. 3.1 shots, only second behind Barkley in the team. A really impressive 2.6 of those coming from inside the area as well. So smart with his shot location, isn't he? 2.7 key passes as well. Almost 3 dribbles, which is 5th best in the league for players who have played over 470 minutes, which is a benchmark I used because it's over 5 games, right? Still a small sample size, but a decent sample size nonetheless. And he's in the top 2% for these metrics as well. Touches inside the box, fouls 1 per 90, and something else that I'm forgetting. But it's all culminated in an expected goal and assist value of 0.89, which is superior to the likes of Sadio Mane. And a lot of that good end product coming in open play as well. That's what he registered in the top 2% for as well. XG from open play. A lot of stats there for you. A lot of acronyms.
A lot of stats,
basically, mate. All equals Jack Grealish, a very, very good player. But there's still a few weaknesses to his game. And you've always kind of pointed this out, Pat, that in order for him to flourish, he's got to have someone doing his defensive work as well, right?
He won't defend at all. And he's defending less this season than he ever has before. But I'm not sure if that's necessarily a weakness in his game this season so much as Villa just kind of realising he's not going to give us much defensively. So let's find a way to free him up and do the things he actually is exceptional at. I would actually say that while Villa's defence looks okay so far, I don't actually think it is. I think when you watch Villa, you do see that defence... I don't know, it's quite shaky. It quite often looks on the verge of crumbling to me. And I think that it probably will start to get exploited as the season goes on. Fundamentally, they don't really have a really solid presence in midfield. Like Douglas Luiz, people like him, and he's very good on the ball, but his defensive output is atrocious. And Marvelous Nakamba is really the only central midfielder they have with good defensive output. They rely on a lot of work from guys on the wing, like Trezeguet, which is great. But I do think that after a while, we'd expect the defence to come back down. So, I don't know. Yes, I suppose it is technically a weakness in Grealish's game that he does no defending. And when people talk about him as a midfielder, I think fundamentally they're not really understanding what he is. That's not how he plays anymore. But I think that.
But do you not think he could play in there? I feel like he could play in there. If he was asked to play in that central attacking midfield role, and he had the likes of Douglas Luiz doing his defensive work, I feel like he could play as the more advanced of a midfield 3.
Okay, but but a number 10 traditionally does even less defending these days than a winger, really. And
yeah,
I'm still saying that you don't want him playing a defensive role. If he's playing as a 10, he's playing as an out and out attacking 10. And Douglas Luiz would need to drastically up his defensive work rate for that to really pan out in the long term. On the other hand, I think that Villa have done the really sensible thing, which is say we're going to control the ball and play on the break as quickly as we can and rely on the fact that now we've actually got two elite forwards in Grealish and Watkins, and a bunch of other really useful parts in McGinn, in Barkley, even guys like Trezeguet, Bertrand Traore, he's at Villa as well now too. Like all those guys can kind of fill in a bit, and as a result, they can kind of get enough. I guess get enough attack to make it worth giving up a little bit of defensive solidity. So as the season goes on, I expect their defense to get worse. I thought they did actually give up quite a lot of dangerous situations against Arsenal, who are currently probably one of the worst attacking sides in the league. Like when you compare the way, say, the success of, say, even Leicester's defense against Arsenal at the Emirates to Villa's, you can see a real difference there between a really solid defensive side and at best a middling one. So I do expect that to be exploited, but Grealish and Watkins are just going to tear through the league this season. I mean, finally, they've got a guy there who is a really versatile threat ahead of Grealish, who can pull out wide and create space for Barkley and Grealish, who can also beat a man, who's creative himself, who's fast, who's a presence in the air. I mean, like, Grealish has really, really upped his game this season, but I also think that one of the reasons it looks like he's upped his game is because he's got a genuinely excellent forward who perfectly complements him in front of him.
I also think that a large proportion of his success this season has been down to Ross Barkley. I think Ross Barkley has looked totally rejuvenated at Villa this season. Very unfortunate not to be called up to the England squad. I think such as his work rate off the ball has improved so much under Dean Smith. I think it's just 2 goals and assists this season, but it doesn't kind of sells him a little bit short in terms of what he's given to this Aston Villa side. And I wasn't sure how it was going to work with him playing in there with Grealish, obviously Trezeguet as well getting game time. Wasn't sure how that was going to gel, but Dean Smith has certainly found a way of getting Grealish and Barkley to combine, because I think it's one of the most fun combinations to watch in the league right now. Those two popping little passes off each other, getting shots off, little blind passes down alleyways to Ollie Watkins. It's class to watch. And then with John McGinn back, you have all of the energy coming from him in the midfield, which is something that cannot be underestimated, how much they missed him last season. So yeah, I think Villa and Grealish in particular for this question is a great shout.